Dear AIESEC in Slovenia, it's an honor to be here today in front of you and present myself as MCP applicant for the term 16-17. My name is Thijs Zoontjens. I'm 24 years old. I'm originally from the Netherlands, where I studied traffic and transport management. And by the end of my bachelor's, I actually got introduced into a master which was held in Austria, which made me move to Austria about 2.5 years ago. So I moved to Austria in September 2013. I started my studies there, energy and transport management. And actually in the first month, I got in touch with AIESEC as an organization. And just by reading the website of AIESEC, I knew that this was an organization which was good for me. The reason I made the decision to move to Austria was that I felt trapped in my life back in the Netherlands. For 14 years in a row, I was doing exactly the same. Yes, I went to high school, I moved on to university, and I did my bachelor's in the Netherlands. But at the same time, I was a very passionate drummer. I was part of a marching band. So for at least 6-7 years, every second weekend of April, I would be in Belgium, walking the same parade, seeing the same people, walking the same route over and over again. So I felt trapped in this life, and I wanted to know what else is out there in the world other than this very comfortable life I had in the Netherlands. So this was the main reason for me, where I decided to move to Austria, get out of my comfort zone, get into a different environment with a completely clean agenda, and see what else I could do. I moved here, as I said, in October or September 2013. In October 2013, I got to know AIESEC, and I just knew that AIESEC is an organization which would be able to provide me with the opportunity to discover what is out there in the world. So I took this opportunity. I became a member of AIESEC. Very soon, in the course of a couple of months, I decided I would apply for VP Talent Management, and I got selected as VP Talent Management in AIESEC in Graz. Over this year, I did a lot of things. I discovered my passion for training and facilitation, so I started attending conferences outside of Austria. I attended an ITTT in Slovakia. I went to facilitate in a national conference in Czech Republic, and actually this whole Eastern Europe, Central Europe, is a region which from the beginning of my AIESEC journey really interests me. Now you might ask yourself the question, why Central Eastern Europe? And why is this guy so interested in this region? And for me, it's a very simple explanation. When I look at Central Eastern Europe as a region, for me this is a region which has been challenged over the past decades. They have faced war, countries have been separated, and this history of this region also implements and includes that nothing can be taken for granted. Which means that if you're a student and you want to achieve something, you need to work for it. You need to work very, very hard for it, and there is no challenge big enough, and there is no challenge you can avoid in order to reach your goal. I never really felt challenged, and I know that in order to develop myself and to become a better person, I need to put myself into the situation where I will be challenged, where solutions are not served on a silver platter, but that actually I need to work. I need to come up with the solutions. I need to face the challenges to reach where I want to be. Further in my AIESEC career, my direct attention kind of got pulled away from Central and Eastern Europe as a region. I was more and more focused on the things I was passionate about. So I already told you I discovered my passion for training and facilitation, which meant that I started applying for more and more conferences in order to gain more experience in the things I actually liked. Meanwhile, I also applied as LCP of AIESEC in Graz, and during my term as LCP, I had the chance to visit beautiful countries, to experience cultures, and I had the chance to practice and explore just little ideas which came to my mind. As most of you might know, one of these little ideas got sparked last summer when I was in the International Congress in India. And this was a conference where I met with Lisa, the previous LCP of AIESEC in Ljubljana. And at this conference we kind of made a pact and we said, okay, this beautiful idea of a conference, we should actually put it in practice, try it out. I mean, AIESEC is in the end a platform where you are also provided with the chance to try out new things. So that's what we did. After the conference, after summer, we started meeting. We started onboarding our EBs, and up to today I'm still very proud of what we achieved back in October last year, where we pulled off a great conference, which was definitely beneficial for both of our entities. And in this project, working with AIESEC in Ljubljana, my attention was brought back to my interest in the Central and Eastern European region. I knew that, yes, I had an idea, but without this mindset which is fostered in AIESEC in Slovenia and in the complete region, I was never ever able to pull off an event like this, from a very tiny idea up to these huge projects which we pulled off. So actually from that moment on, my attention was brought back to this mindset, and to this mindset I really want to experience for me to develop myself as a better person. It was also back in October last year that I made the decision for myself to apply for a following AIESEC experience. Already from the start of my LCP term, I had in mind, okay, what is going to be my next step? What do I want to do next? And I made the decision back in October last year to apply for MCP of AIESEC in Austria. Running for this position was a very big struggle for me personally. It was very tough to get clear in mind, okay, what is this entity about? Where do I see this entity in 1 year? What do I want to do with this entity? And what are the key ingredients? And what is the key to actually effectively bring this entity to the next stage? And it took me a lot of time to figure out and to think about this entity and see, okay, what are we going to do with it? And I tried to put everything down in this application, and I was not the only one applying for this position. So next to me there were 2 other applicants, both parts of the MC of AIESEC in Austria. And unfortunately I was not elected as the next president of AIESEC in Austria. But the process as such really taught me a lot. It really taught me to observe a bigger community, a bigger entity, and actually figure out for myself, okay, what is the current state? Where do I see this entity in 1 year? And how do I actually want to bring this entity there? And I was actually, at that moment, very sure of myself that I knew what I want to do later in life and what's my next step gonna be. After losing the elections, I made the decision not to apply for a VP position in AIESEC in Austria. And I actually wanted to move to Vienna, settle down, and find myself a job there. And over 1.5 to 2 months, I applied for about 20 jobs. I got invited for 2 job interviews, but none of these interviews and none of these applications actually led to an effective job offer. Looking back at this period of 2 months where I was applying for jobs, I discovered that I was applying for very random different jobs all around, related to what I studied, related to what I like, so facilitating and training. But there was no very clear line and direction in what I wanted to do. And this told me that actually even losing an election in AIESEC didn't mean for me as a person that my AIESEC journey was over. I know from that moment on that I need to take upon a next challenge, a next AIESEC experience for myself to figure out how I see myself in 2 years and which steps I'm gonna take in order to get there. And it was this specific moment where I got reminded again of the spirit of Central Eastern Europe, and I started looking for AIESEC opportunities in this region, because I knew that if I want to effectively apply for jobs in 1 year, I need to face a journey and experience which will put me in front of challenges I cannot avoid, which will put me in front of challenges of which the solution is not served on a silver platter. And this was the moment where I decided to apply as MCP of AIESEC in Slovenia. So I started talking to Alex, I started talking to the various LCPs of the different entities in Slovenia, in order for myself to create a picture of what is this entity at the moment about. I think I was very well able to create a picture, an image of the current state of the entity. And I know that AIESEC in Slovenia at the moment is in a very challenging situation. And the lessons I've learned in my application for MCP of AIESEC in Austria, I also applied in the application for AIESEC in Slovenia. So I took a lot of time to actually observe and try to understand and grasp what is the current state of AIESEC in Slovenia, what are the possibilities, the opportunities, and how do I envision this entity in 1 year, and what's gonna bring this entity there. What I believe AIESEC in Slovenia needs at the moment is focus. Focus on sustainability. In order for AIESEC in Slovenia to grow, it's very important that every single entity is able to sustain itself. So there needs to be a focus on financial sustainability, and how can we actually reach financial sustainability? Financial sustainability can be reached by exchange. So one of the goals I have for the next term is that every single entity, Ljubljana, Maribor, Koper and Kran, have exchange performance. This way they have money coming in, they have money to spend, and this is the way to go in order to become a sustainable entity. How do I want to get there? I really want to focus on knowledge management, because I have also observed that there is a big gap between the entities when it comes to knowledge. So I want the MC to be a knowledge provider for the entities, and I also want to have the entities collaborating together to share knowledge, to share good and bad case practices in order to gain knowledge you need and become better entities and become more sustainable entities. One of the strategies I would like to use for this is that the MC members are gonna coach individual entities. So one MC member will be the coach for 1 or 2 local entities, sit down with them, check their plans, check their strategies, and also track them and help them in the process. Because only this is how local entities are able to learn, and only this is how we can make AIESEC in Slovenia sustainable. So to wrap it up, my one and only goal is for every single local entity to have exchange by the end of the next term. And the way I want to reach this is to focus on knowledge management. I want to thank you very, very much, and I'm looking forward to your questions.